Okay, well, my name is Paul Weiland. I'm a scientist as well as a homeschool father. I want to welcome you again to the MHC Zoo Tour. How many of you have been on one of our zoo tours before? Well, welcome back. The more you learn about God's creatures, the more you realize how truly amazing and wonderful they are and how truly amazing and wonderful God is. Now, hippopotamuses, which we want to talk about today, are found where in the wild? Are they found in Missouri? No, where do we find them? Yeah, Africa, right. Found in Africa. The word hippopotamus is actually a Greek word that means river horse, or horse of the river, Much of the day, they spend in the water.
Sorry, there's a raccoon up there. As long as he stays up there. He wants to hear your speech.
Okay, can I have your attention again? They will mate under the water. The young are born either under the water or on land. If they're born under the water, the mother needs to get it to the surface pretty quick so it can breathe. The young also can either nurse on land or underwater. And when they sleep, they'll sleep underwater and come to the surface automatically to breathe. And you can still be asleep. Now they're actually bigger than a horse. They're the third largest land animal, second to the elephant and rhinoceros. The hippos are the third biggest land animal. The females can weigh up to 3,000 pounds. The males up to 4,000 pounds or more. Males will continue to grow every year they live, and they can live to be 40 or 50 years old. Hippos are what we call herbivores. Who knows what a herbivore is? Yeah.
An animal that only eats plant vegetation?
Right. Herbivores eat only plants. Well, hippos are herbivores. They'll come out of the water at night and walk 4 or 5 miles to graze on grass, and they'll graze 4 or 5 hours before returning to the water. After they're done, it looks like a lawnmower's gone through the place. They eat about 100 to 150 pounds a night, which really isn't very much for an animal this size. But they have several chambers to their stomach, so they are able to get the maximum nutritional value out of the grass. Hippos can be very aggressive toward humans also. I've heard it said that more people die in Africa each year by hippos than by any other animal, by crocodiles or lions or elephants or snakes. They'll come up on their canoe like y'all are sitting in and overturn it with ease. Everyone be drowned here. Or they'll drown people. Or chop them in two. So, anyway, they can run up to 20 miles an hour or faster, which is faster than most people can run. They'll only be able to do that for a short distance, though. So you don't want to get away in the way of a hippo. Hippos live in herds that we call pods. There's one male that is in charge, and there'll be about 30 or more hippos under him. Now, if another male in that particular group decides to challenge him, there can be a bloody battle, even to death. They'll attack each other with their mouths open, and with those teeth, they'll go after the other and injure them in the mouth. Here's a picture of a hippo with his mouth open. These outside teeth are called canine teeth. They can get up to a foot and a half in length. And these center teeth here, these are called incisors. They can get up to 1 foot long. Anyone want to be a dentist for a hippopotamus? Here's another hippo with his mouth open. Yet when they close their mouth, they don't get stuck with their own teeth. I was designed them that way, so they don't get stuck with their own teeth. They're known to open their mouths at other times like that, called a hippo yawn. Although it's really not a yawn, but we're not sure why it is. Some people think it has a form of communication between them, where they open their mouth like that. they can open their mouth at an angle of 150 degrees. That's about like that or more. That's quite a wide mouth. Quite a wide mouth they have. A hippopotamus skin is 6 inches thick. I've seen videos where lions would jump on a hippo's back and they would try to bring it down, but the hippo would just keep walking. And the lions would jump off and couldn't bring it down. The hippos also secrete a reddish pink substance through the pores of their skin, and this acts as kind of a sunscreen. This is thought also to be sort of an antiseptic, but it's given rise to the myth that hippos sweat blood. In actuality, they can't even sweat at all. If you look at a hippo, you'll notice that the eyes, the ears, and the nostrils are on top of his head. That's so a hippo can stay underwater, most of it underwater, and have these things out above the water. Now when a hippo submerges, his nostrils and ears will automatically close, so it doesn't take water into his ears or into his nostrils. But the hippo can actually pick up sound waves in the water through its jaw. So it can sense it here underwater. They can stay underwater for 5 minutes before they need to take a breath. Also, when they go underwater, there's a transparent membrane that comes down over the eyes so they can see underwater. They also will make a bellowing sound, which, did you hear one when you first came up here? I don't know if you heard that. Might have been held a good might hear it. But anyway, that bellowing sound can get loud enough that it's said to rival a rock. Hippopotamus have an effective manure spreader in the tail. Anytime it has a bowel movement, whether on land or on water, it'll switch the tail back and forth, spreading the manure everywhere. Now, if it's done in the water, the fish will gather around and eat that. They find that quite nutritious. Yum, yum, huh? Anyone want to try eating hippo manure? Don't think it'd be too good. Now in the Bible, in the book of Job, chapter 40, starting at verse 15, we're told of an animal called behemoth. A lot of Bibles have a footnote there saying that's probably a hippopotamus. Well, look at that one step came now. See the fish go after that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Is that what's all the trees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, in the Bible we talk about behemoth and Job. One of the descriptions of this animal is that it has a tail like a cedar tree. Well, if you look at the tail of a hippopotamus, I don't think that looks like a cedar tree. When the Bible talks about cedar trees, it's talking about cedars of Lebanon. King David built his palace, or built his house with cedars of Lebanon. King Solomon built the temple, cedars of Lebanon. Here's a picture of a cedar of Lebanon, what they look like. They're very huge, quite majestic. Here's an animal, this tall one right here. It might have a tail more like this one of those mighty cedar trees. See how long the tail is there? Possibly. So that possibly could be what the behemoth was. Evolutionists tell us that from random changes in the genetic material, mutations from an animal like a whale or often the hippopotamus evolved. Well, all we ever see with mutations is loss of genetic information. Now, I've done just a bit of molecular biology myself, not with hippopotamus DNA. But I can tell you, we never see an increase in genetic information, but always there's a loss of genetic information. If the hippos came from a dolphin or whale like them, we would have to see not only a loss, but an increase of genetic information. Wherever we see a mutation, it's a loss of genetic information. You can set up experiments, cause all the mutations you want. You can search the scientific literature. You won't find an increase in genetic information, but only a loss. The Bible tells us in the book of Romans, chapter 8, that all of creation is subject to a bondage of decay. Each one of us is carrying in our body mutations that we got from our mom and dad, and also we'll have some of our own that we'll pass on to our children. There's only one way creation will be set free from its bondage to decay, and that's through the finished work of Jesus Christ on the cross. It's only by Him, through Him, and for Him that all things were created. Okay, does anyone have any questions about your blanks you're filling in, or Hippo? Anyone want to try holding their breath for 5 minutes like the Hippo?
We might pass out.
Okay, guys, well, thanks again for coming. Your next stop will be the cheetah.